You know, it's funny actually. I was sitting in my car the other day listening to John Carpenter's Lost Themes 2, and I was wondering when is this guy going to come back into film and really wow us again? Because he made The Ward it was like 6 years ago to the date of this video being posted, but it didn't have that sting or that mystique that any of the fans really wanted or needed at the time. So in 2016 now, with Carpenter aging a little bit, he's 68 years old now, and with the world a little less scary and mysterious, it seems that horror fans really needed some kind of return, especially with Wes Craven passing away recently and just an era of talented filmmakers slowly dwindling away. We needed somebody to come back and make an impact on the film world, particularly to horror fans, I suppose. And then also there were the inklings of the Halloween sequel that was supposed to be coming out this year, and I'd reported on it a couple of times within the last year and a half or so. There was a sequel in development. It took place after the first film, and it seemed like there was some kind of interesting plot. And then Marcus Dunstan was involved in the film. He was going to be the writer and director. He was from the Collector series, but then that crashed and burned, and Malek Akkad said, yeah, sorry, we're delaying it again after delaying it for like 5 more years before that, and we're going to work on something new. Now, that was really disappointing to me as a huge fan of the series, and yeah, I was really looking forward to something new and something fresh, and then this happened and crashed and burned away, and I just thought, all right, then, you know what, this might not ever happen, because this movie has been in development since Rob Zombie exited the franchise, thank God, and people have luckily kind of forgotten about those movies in a certain context. But what comes out last night is probably the best news that could have ever happened, so why don't I just get on with it. John Carpenter is coming back. Let me repeat that. John Carpenter is coming back to the Halloween franchise. And that's not a joke. It's May 24th, 2016. It's not April Fool's. And John Carpenter has come out publicly and recognized he is coming back. He is coming back to the Halloween franchise, and that is the most incredible news that anybody could ever tell any horror fan or any film fan in general. If you're a movie fan and you're not flipping out about this with enthusiasm, you live under a proverbial rock, because it seems like the movie community is going nuts over this. And they should be, because this is probably the best movie news that has come out this year. And it all depends on how you feel about Carpenter, horror films, and movies in general, but this is unreal. I'm going to read a couple small excerpts from HalloweenMovies.com, the official website of the Halloween series, in their official press release on said topic. Alright, it reads May 23rd, 2016. In 1978, he changed the way horror films were made. Tonight, he returns. John Carpenter to executive produce new Halloween for Miramax, Trancas, and Blumhouse. Yeah, Blumhouse is even jumping in on this, so this announcement is just huge and unprecedented. Nobody saw this coming. Alright, it reads, John Carpenter, the multiple award-winning and legendary filmmaker and creator of the original Halloween films, will return to the franchise as executive producer on a new production of the iconic horror movie. It was jointly announced today by Miramax and Trancas International Films. Miramax and Blumhouse Productions will co-finance development and production, with Malek Akkad serving as producer under his Trancas banner and Jason Blum producing for Blumhouse. Miramax, which holds worldwide distribution rights, will determine its theatrical distribution partner at a future date. John Carpenter said, 38 years after the original Halloween, I'm going to help to try to make the 10th sequel of the franchise the scariest of them all. Now, again, this seems like some kind of weird dream going on in the movie universe, but this is actually happening, and Blumhouse even jumped in on this. Blumhouse, who has been so successful over the last, I don't know, 5 to 10-ish years, producing some of the most successful horror films of this decade and some of last decade, and that's just incredibly good news to get all these talented people working together to bring a modern classic back to life. Why don't I read a little bit more? Now, this is from IGN.com. Halloween needs to return to its traditions, Carpenter said. I feel like the movies have gotten away from that. Michael is not just a human being. He's a force of nature, like the wind. That's what makes him so scary. And see, that's John Carpenter saying that again on what he thinks the Halloween franchise needs to get some more life. He's obviously talking about the Rob Zombie films that were made, and obviously what he had as a distaste for them. Because when you demystify this very iconic and mystifying character, everything goes out the window. And especially when you have horrible script writing and whatnot, but that's another review. Anyway, John Carpenter is back, and Blumhouse jumping into this all just seems like one surreal dream. And we have to realize why this is being made. I think people got their fix on remakes of slashers like Friday the 13th, and then Nightmare on Elm Street had that remake and has really been in limbo hell too. But Halloween has this mystique because it changed everything, as one of the articles had mentioned. It set all the modern tropes and precedents in horror. And it being made almost 40 years ago and still having this very mystical impact on film and horror film is just astounding. And that its life keeps burning on through time is just a testament to how great this film is. It's one of my favorite movies. I mean, it's one of the movies that inspired me to go into filmmaking. And John Carpenter coming back as an executive producer and possibly doing the score for the film are the best things that could have happened. And this is just, like I said, I keep saying this is like a big dream, but my goodness, this came out of nowhere. This came on the heels of a Halloween movie being canceled and putting back into development, and all this development hell after the Rob Zombie movies that thankfully will not be the end-all be-all of the Michael Myers mystique. I mean, this is just the best news that could be going on. The movie looks like it's going to get some kind of 2017 release date. That's their goal, and that would be perfectly fine by me. But even if it comes out in 2018, I don't care. The fact that Carpenter is back and he's putting in his own ideas and he's going to make the calls in some sense is phenomenal. This guy knows story. This guy knows everything there is to know about film. He knows atmosphere, he knows suspense, he knows eerie nature, he knows everything to put into his films, and that's why he's been so successful. I mean, this is just great, because I think Halloween is a series that could have properly been laid to rest with Halloween 20 years later, but it wasn't. And to bring him back and to say, hey, you make the calls here. Let him bring us in a direction. This guy knows what he's doing. And a lot of people didn't like Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, but he executive produced that, and I think that has really grown a shelf life of its own. But I mean, that's not even one that you should look at and put to his real repertoire. Look at all the other movies he's produced or directed or written or scored. I mean, because this guy has all the facets of a talented film auteur. So him stepping back into Haddonfield and really having creative control and having a say in what's going on here is the best thing that could possibly happen. And I gotta give props to Malek Akkad for scrapping everything multiple times to get it right and to really have some balls on this and to go in a direction that was best for the fans and best for film in general. Props to Malek Akkad here. He's got a lot of stuff and a lot of flack over the last couple of years, and he's really stuck to his guns, and this is the best thing that anybody could possibly ask for. And I know I've said that a few times, but this is just perfect. Malek Akkad deserves a lot of credit for reeling in John Carpenter back to the series, because John Carpenter has shown a lot of distaste for the sequels and where they went and the lack of story and the lack of creativity. And I think just Malek went out and he decided that if we're going to do this, we really have to do it right. We don't have to do it like a knockoff again. We don't have to make another shameless sequel. He went out and he got the guy. He got the guy that it should have been produced by all these years in some way over so much time. And this is just unprecedented news, and I really wish I could babble on about this, but I need thoughts from you guys. We need to continue this discussion below in the comments, online. The internet in the movie world should be blowing up today at this news, and I think it's going to, but my God, John Carpenter is back in the Halloween franchise, and we're going to get a new Halloween movie with his supervision and his touch, and this is unbelievable news. Why don't we open the discussion, guys? Comment below, and let's get a new and faithful and authentic Halloween movie. Thanks for watching.